rupture in reality lasted exactly 4 seconds. To the satellite surveillance teams tracking atmospheric anomalies over New York City, it registered as a localized electromagnetic pulse, a brilliant golden fissure that split the sky above Central Park like someone had torn open the fabric of space itself. To the thousands of civilians walking below, it was a thunderclap of displaced air, a shockwave that rattled windows from the Upper West Side to Midtown, followed by a blinding flash that seemed to contain every color and none at all. And then he was there. All Might descended through the closing tear in existence with the casual grace of a man stepping off a curb. His red, white, and blue costume caught the afternoon sunlight, the white cape billowing behind him as he landed in Sheep Meadow with barely a sound. For a moment, he simply stood there, taking in his surroundings with that eternal smile plastered across his face. Sharp, wide, impossibly confident. "Well now," his voice boomed across the park, cheerful despite the confusion evident in his eyes. "This is certainly unexpected." The joggers and dog walkers who'd witnessed his arrival stood frozen, phones already raised, already recording. Within 30 seconds, the first video hit social media. Within 2 minutes, it had 10,000 views. Within 5, Vought International's crisis management team was scrambling. All Might looked down at his hands, then up at the sky where the portal had sealed itself shut. His smile never wavered, though his eyes narrowed slightly. Some kind of quirk, perhaps, a villain's doing. No matter. He'd encountered stranger phenomena. The important thing was assessing the situation and ensuring civilian safety. "Excuse me?" He approached a young woman who'd been filming him, her phone shaking in her grip. "I apologize for the dramatic entrance. Could you tell me what city this is?" New York," she stammered. Are you a new soup?" All Might's eyebrows rose. "Soup? I'm afraid I don't know that term. I am a hero, though. All Might, the symbol of peace." He struck his signature pose, one fist raised toward the sky. "Pleased to meet you." The woman's expression shifted from terror to bewilderment. "You're not with Vought?" "Vought?" All Might scratched his head, his smile becoming slightly sheepish. "I'm sorry, young lady, but I seem to be quite lost. Perhaps you could direct me to the nearest hero agency." Before she could answer, the distinctive whoomp 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 of helicopter rotors cut through the air. All Might looked up to see 3 news choppers converging on his position, their cameras trained on him like predatory birds. In the distance, sirens wailed. "This is quite the welcome," All Might muttered, though his smile never faded. 15 blocks away, in a dingy apartment that smelled of gun oil and stale beer, Billy Butcher sat forward so fast he nearly knocked over his drink. The fuck is that? On the television screen, shaky phone footage showed a man in what looked like a rejected Captain America costume standing in Central Park, waving at cameras with the kind of unironic enthusiasm that made Butcher's teeth hurt. The chyron beneath read, "Mysterious superpowered individual appears in Central Park. Vought declining to comment." Huey Campbell leaned closer to the screen, adjusting his glasses. He just appeared? Out of nowhere? "Some kind of teleporter soup, maybe," Mother's Milk said from his position by the window, though his tone suggested he didn't quite believe it. Vaught's probably shitting themselves trying to figure out if he's one of theirs. Frenchie tilted his head, studying the footage with the analytical eye of a man who'd seen too much strangeness to be easily surprised. "Look at his face, that smile. It does not move." "Course it doesn't," Butcher growled. "It's a fucking marketing gimmick. Probably got it trademarked and everything." He reached for his phone. "I'm calling Raina. If Vaught's got a new player, we need to..." The television cut to a live feed. A reporter, perfectly coiffed despite the chaos, spoke rapidly into her microphone as the camera zoomed in on All Might, who was now surrounded by NYPD officers maintaining a careful perimeter. Still no statement from Vought International, but sources suggest this individual is not registered with the Federal Bureau of Superhuman Affairs. The unidentified super has been cooperative with police, though he appears confused about basic questions regarding All Might's voice, impossibly loud even without a microphone. Cut across the reporter's narration. I assure you, officers, I mean no harm. I'm simply trying to understand where I am. Is there perhaps someone in charge I could speak with? Kimiko, who'd been watching silently from the corner, made a quick series of signs. Huey translated automatically. She says his body language is wrong, not like other soups. Everyone's body language is wrong compared to other soups, Butcher said. But he was watching the screen intently now. Other soups stand like they're God's gift. This tosser stands like he's trying to make everyone feel safe, Huey finished quietly. On screen, a little girl had somehow slipped past the police cordon. She couldn't have been more than 6, her pink backpack bouncing as she ran straight toward All Might. The cops shouted, reaching for her, but she was too fast. All Might knelt down in one smooth motion, bringing himself to eye level with the child. His smile softened, became somehow even more genuine. The cameras caught his words. Hello there, young one. Are you lost? The girl shook her head, then held out a crumpled piece of paper and a crayon. Can you sign this? Are you going to fight Homelander? The apartment went silent. All Might's expression showed pure confusion. Homelander? I'm afraid I don't know who that is. He took the paper gently, signed it with the crayon in broad, enthusiastic strokes. But I promise you, whatever dangers threaten this city, I will face them with a smile, because I am here. The girl beamed. A mother rushed forward to collect her child, apologizing profusely, but All Might simply waved it off with a laugh that seemed to echo across the entire park. Fucking hell, Butcher whispered. He doesn't know who Homelander is. That's impossible, said. Everyone knows Homelander. He's on every billboard, every commercial, every... Look at him. Huey's voice was quiet. Really look. He's not pretending. He actually has no idea. Frenchie made a low sound in his throat. Then where did he come from? On the television, the feed cut to Vought Tower. Ashley Barrett stood at a podium, her expression tight enough to crack diamonds. Behind her, promotional images of the 7 rotated on massive screens. Vought International welcomes all meta-humans who wish to use their gifts for good. She read from prepared statements, her voice brittle. We have reached out to this individual and hope to establish a dialogue. In the meantime, we urge the public to remain calm and... The feed cut again. This time to aerial footage. And there, descending toward Central Park like a golden god, cape rippling in the wind he generated with his own flight, was Homelander. Oh Christ, muttered. All Might looked up at the approaching figure, his head tilting with genuine curiosity. Homelander landed 20 feet away, his boots touching down with theatrical precision. His smile was America's smile. Practiced, perfect, empty. Welcome to New York. Homelander's voice carried that rehearsed warmth that didn't quite reach his eyes. I'm Homelander, leader of the 7, Vaught's premier superhero team. He extended a gloved hand. We'd love to talk about your sudden appearance. All Might's face lit up with relief. Ah, excellent. Another hero. I was hoping to meet someone who could help me understand the situation. He stepped forward, his stride confident but not aggressive, and clasped Homelander's hand with genuine enthusiasm. The handshake lasted 3 seconds. In those 3 seconds, Homelander squeezed with enough force to pulverize concrete. His smile never wavered, but his eyes flashed with something cold and evaluative. A test, a threat, a reminder of who stood at the top of this world's hierarchy. All Might squeeze back. Not hard, just enough to match. just enough to not be moved. Homelander's smile tightened microscopically. He squeezed harder, bone-grinding pressure that had made grown men weep. All Might's grip didn't budge. His smile remained genuine, oblivious to the contest of strength. "You have quite the firm handshake, young man. I appreciate that in a fellow hero." "Young man?" Homelander's voice remained friendly, but something icy crept into his tone. He released the handshake, his hand tingling in a way it never had before. "I'm the Homelander. I'm the most powerful soup on the planet." Soup? All Might's confusion seemed absolute. "There's that word again. I'm afraid I'm not familiar with the local terminology. Where I come from, we say hero for those with special abilities who help others." "Where you come from?" Homelander's laser vision flickered behind his eyes, just for a microsecond, a tell he couldn't quite control. "And where exactly is that?" "Japan originally." All Might's smile never wavered, though I've traveled extensively in my hero work. But this, he gestured at the skyline, at the crowds, at everything. "This is all quite unfamiliar. Tell me, what agency are you with? Perhaps we could coordinate our efforts." In the apartment, Butcher leaned forward until his nose nearly touched the screen. He's giving Homelander nothing. No fear, no ass-kissing, no fucking clue who he's talking to. "Homelander hates that," Huey said. "Yeah," Butcher's smile was sharp and mean. "I know." On screen, Homelander's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "I don't work for an agency. I am the Seven. We're the greatest heroes on Earth." His eyes raked over All Might, searching for weakness, for deception, for anything that would make this stranger make sense. "And you appeared out of a hole in the sky. So why don't you cut the wholesome act and tell me what you really are?" All Might's expression grew serious for the first time, though his smile remained. "I'm a hero. That's all I've ever been. All I'll ever need to be." As for the hole in the sky, he scratched his head sheepishly. "I'm trying to understand that myself. Some kind of quirk, perhaps? A villain's doing. Either way, I seem to be stranded here temporarily." "Quirk." Homelander tested the word. His enhanced hearing picked up All Might's heartbeat. Steady, calm, absolutely genuine. No spike of adrenaline, no fear response. It was the same heartbeat as someone discussing the weather. It enraged him. "Come with me to Vought Tower," Homelander said, and it wasn't quite a question. "We'll get you sorted out. Figure out where you came from, maybe run a few tests." "Tests?" All Might's laugh was genuine and warm. "My friend, I appreciate the offer, but I'm not in need of testing. What I need is to understand this situation and ensure everyone's safety. Tell me, are there any threats to this city? Any villains who need stopping? I'd be happy to help." The crowd around them had swelled to hundreds. Phones everywhere, all recording. Homelander's smile had become a rictus, his eyes twin pools of barely controlled fury behind a patriotic mask. "There are no threats," Homelander said, his voice dropping to a register that had made terrorists weep. "Because I protect this city. I protect the entire fucking country. So why don't you tell me who sent you? Was it Russia? China? Some Black Ops project that thinks they can just drop a new super in my city without—" "Your city?" All Might's confusion seemed absolute. But surely all heroes work together to protect civilians. No one person can claim ownership of— Homelander moved. Not an attack, not quite. Just a shift, a sudden displacement of air. His face suddenly inches from All Might's, his eyes glowing red with barely restrained heat vision. "Listen to me very carefully," Homelander hissed, his voice too low for the cameras to catch. "I don't know what game you're playing, but this is my world. Mine. So you can either get in line, or I will personally." All Might didn't flinch. He simply stood there, that smile unwavering, his eyes meeting Homelander's glowing gaze with something that might have been pity. "My boy," All Might said softly, his voice carrying genuine concern. "Are you all right? You seem quite distressed." In the apartment, made a sound like a dying man. "He didn't just..." "He did," Frenchie whispered. "Mon Dieu, he did." Homelander's entire body went rigid. His eyes flared brighter, heat vision building, the air between them beginning to shimmer with thermal distortion. And then his PR training kicked in. Cameras, hundreds of cameras, live television, the world watching. Homelander stepped back, his smile snapping into place like a mask. "Of course I'm all right. Just excited to meet a new hero." He spread his arms wide, addressing the crowd. "Everyone, let's give our mysterious visitor some space. I'm sure we'll all get to know him better in the coming days." He rose into the air, cape billowing dramatically. But before he left, he locked eyes with All Might one more time. "We'll talk again soon," Homelander said. It sounded like a promise. It sounded like a threat. All Might simply waved, cheerful and oblivious. "I look forward to it. Stay safe, young hero." Homelander's smile twitched. Then he was gone, a red and blue streak shooting toward Vought Tower faster than seemed necessary. The boys found him at a soup kitchen in Hell's Kitchen 3 days later. Not because they'd tracked him. All Might wasn't hard to find. He'd been on every news channel, every social media feed, every conversation in every bar across the city. He'd stopped a mugging in Brooklyn, prevented a subway derailment in Queens, and talked a jumper down from the Brooklyn Bridge with such genuine compassion that even the hardened NYPD officers on scene had been moved. Vaught's social media team was working overtime to downplay him. The Seven's official accounts emphasized their own heroics louder than ever. Homelander appeared at 3 different events in one day, his smile sharp enough to cut glass. But All Might wasn't competing. He was just helping. Butcher pushed through the soup kitchen door to find All Might in civilian clothes, still impossibly tall and muscular, but wearing a simple white t-shirt and jeans that somehow made him look more, not less, heroic. He was serving food to a line of homeless men and women, his laugh echoing through the cramped space as he chatted with each person like they were old friends. "Well, this is fucking nauseating," Butcher muttered. Huey elbowed him. "Be nice." "I'm always nice, when people deserve it." All Might looked up, his eyes, bright blue and impossibly clear, finding them immediately. His smile widened. "Hello there. Looking for a meal? We've got plenty." "Looking for a conversation, actually," Butcher said, approaching with the casual menace he'd perfected over years of intimidating soups. "About you. About what you really are." All Might's expression didn't change. He simply handed his ladle to a surprise volunteer and walked over, each step casual and unthreatening, despite the fact that he towered over all of them. "I'm happy to talk, though I'm afraid I still don't have many answers about how I arrived here." He gestured to a corner table. "Shall we sit?" They sat. All Might folded his massive frame into a chair that looked like children's furniture beneath him. Kimiko stared at him with unnerving intensity. Frenchie watched his every movement. Stood by the door, arms crossed. Huey tried to look friendly. Butcher simply glared. "Right then," Butcher began. "Let's start with the obvious. You're a soup, you've got powers, but you're not in Vaught's database, not in any government registry, and you appeared out of literally fucking nowhere. So what's the play? Corporate espionage? Foreign government asset? Some fucked up science experiment gone wrong?" All Might blinked. "I'm afraid you've lost me. What's a soup?" "Don't." Butcher's voice went flat and dangerous. "Don't play cute. I've been dealing with you Compound V freaks for years. I know every trick, every lie, every... Compound V." All Might's confusion seemed absolute. "I'm sorry, but I genuinely don't know what you're referring to. My power comes from One for All, a quirk that's been passed down through generations. I inherited it from my mentor, and one day I'll pass it to someone worthy of carrying the symbol of peace forward." The boys exchanged glances. Frenchie leaned forward. "This quirk, it is genetic?" "Not exactly." All Might scratched his head. "It's complicated. Where I come from, about 80% of the population has some kind of quirk, a unique power or ability. Mine is simply more concentrated than most." 80%, repeated slowly. "You're saying that where you come from, 8 out of 10 people have superpowers?" "That's correct, which is why hero agencies and schools are so important for training the next generation to use their quirks responsibly." Butcher laughed, but there was no humor in it. "Hero schools, right, because that's what the world needs, more of you flying cunts." For the first time, All Might's smile faltered slightly, not in anger, but in sadness. "You've been hurt by heroes, or by those who called themselves heroes." The silence that followed was oppressive. "You don't know the half of it," Huey said quietly. All Might looked at each of them in turn, his eyes sharp despite his smile. "Tell me, please. I want to understand this world I've found myself in." And so, they told him. They told him about Compound 5, about babies injected with unstable chemicals to create corporate superheroes, about Vought International, about manufactured heroics and scripted rescues, about collateral damage swept under billion-dollar publicity campaigns, about A-Train running through Robin, about translucent and invisible perversion, about Madeline Stillwell and corporate machinations, about Homelander, about plane crashes and public adoration built on private atrocities, about heat vision through crowds and sonic booms that deafen children, about assault and murder, and the American flag wrapped around it all like a burial shroud. All Might listened to everything. His smile never quite disappeared, but his eyes grew harder, sadder, more focused with each revelation. When they finished, the soup kitchen had emptied. Sunset light streamed through dirty windows. "I see," All Might said quietly. "I understand now why you reacted the way you did when we met, why everyone here seems so tired." "Tired," Butcher repeated bitterly. "That's one word for it." "But you're still fighting." All Might's voice grew stronger, more assured. "Despite everything, you're still trying to protect people. That makes you heroes whether you accept the title or not." "We're not heroes," said firmly. "We're just trying to hold the line until—" The wall exploded inward. Not metaphorically, actually exploded. Brick and mortar and dust erupting into the space like a bomb had gone off. The boys dove for cover, Kimiko moving to shield Huey, Frenchie rolling toward his bag of tricks, reaching for his weapon. All Might simply stood up, placing himself between the blast and the civilians who'd scrambled behind the kitchen counter. Through the settling dust, Homelander descended. His cape was perfect. His smile was perfect. His hair was perfect. Everything about him screamed manufactured divinity. "There you are." Homelander's voice was cheerful in a way that made spines crawl. "I've been looking all over for you. We really need to have that talk." "You could have used the door," All Might said mildly, but his posture had shifted subtly. Feet planted, center of gravity lower, ready. "And there are civilians here. Someone could have been hurt, but they weren't." Homelander's smile sharpened. "Because I'm very careful, very precise, unlike some people who just show up and start playing hero without understanding how things work." "Playing?" All Might's eyebrows rose. "Helping people isn't a game, young man. Stop calling me that." Homelander's voice cracked like a whip. The air around him shimmered with barely restrained heat vision. "I'm not some kid. I'm the Homelander. I'm the greatest hero who ever lived. I'm afraid," All Might said softly. Homelander froze. "You're afraid," All Might continued. his voice gentle but firm. I can see it in your eyes. Something has hurt you deeply, and you've built walls so high that you can't see past them anymore. But it's not too late. You can still... Shut up. Homelander's voice dropped to something inhuman. You don't know anything about me. You don't know what I am, what I can do. His eyes flared red. What I will do. Then show me, All Might said simply. He stepped forward, spreading his arms wide. If violence is what you need to feel safe, to feel in control, then go ahead. Strike me. I won't stop you. What the fuck is he doing? Butcher hissed from behind an overturned table. I think, Huey whispered back, he's trying to save Homelander. Homelander stared at All Might, his chest heaving, his eyes cycling between blue and glowing red, his fists clenched and unclenched. Every muscle in his body was coiled like a spring. You think you're better than me, Homelander said. You think you can just show up and be the hero everyone loves. But you're nothing. You're nobody. And I'm going to prove it. I'm not better than you, All Might said. I'm just trying to help. That's all any hero should ever try to do. Homelander's heat vision fired. Twin beams of concentrated thermal energy, hot enough to melt steel, focused enough to cut through buildings. They struck All Might square in the chest with a sound like a thunderclap. The boys shouted. Civilians screamed. Dust and smoke filled the air. And when it cleared, All Might stood exactly where he'd been. His shirt was singed, smoking slightly, but his skin beneath showed no mark at all. He looked down at the damage, then back up at Homelander with something like disappointment. Is that it? All Might asked softly. Homelander's face went through a dozen expressions in as many seconds. Confusion, disbelief, fury, fear. He fired again, pouring more power into it, the beams widening until they were thick as tree trunks, the heat making the air itself scream. All Might walk through it, not quickly, not showing off, just walking, each step steady and inevitable, like a man walking through rain. The heat vision parted around him, scorching the floor and walls, but leaving him untouched. Please, All Might said, still approaching. Let me help you. Whatever pain you're carrying, you don't have to face it alone. Homelander screamed, an actual scream, raw and primal, and lunged forward. He moved faster than sound, his fist cocked back, all his strength focused into one blow that could shatter buildings. All Might caught the punch, one-handed, casually, like catching a baseball. The shockwave from the impact still blew out the remaining windows. The floor cracked beneath All Might's feet, but he didn't move, didn't budge, didn't even seem to strain. Strong, All Might said approvingly. You're quite strong, young man, but strength without purpose, without compassion. He shook his head sadly. That's not heroism. That's just power. Homelander threw another punch. All Might caught it. Another caught. Homelander became a blur of motion, throwing hundreds of punches in seconds, each one delivered with apocalyptic force. All Might caught them all, or deflected them, or simply tanked them against his chest, his smile never wavering, his eyes full of that infuriating pity. Fight back, Homelander shrieked. Stop looking at me like that. Stop. All Might moved. Not an attack, just a shift, a repositioning. He was suddenly behind Homelander, one hand on the other man's shoulder, his voice gentle. I understand you're upset, but there are people here who could be hurt. Please, let's take this somewhere else. Homelander spun, his elbow aimed at All Might's head with enough force to pulverize concrete. All Might leaned back slightly, letting it pass an inch from his face, then tapped Homelander's chest. Just a tap, a single finger, extended, touching Homelander's sternum with no more force than a knock on a door. One for all, 1%. Detroit smash. Homelander went through the wall, through the next wall, through the building across the street. He tumbled end over end through the air, crashing through a billboard, bouncing off pavement, finally slamming into a parked car hard enough to wrap it around him like a metal cocoon. All Might sighed. I was hoping to avoid that. He turned to the boys, who were staring at him with expressions ranging from shock, Huey, to grim satisfaction, Butcher, to something like awe, I apologize for the destruction. I'll help with repairs, of course. But first, he looked at the hole in the wall where Homelander had disappeared. I should make sure he's all right. Please, get these people to safety. Wait, Butcher called as All Might moved toward the hole. You're going after him? Of course, he's confused and frightened. He needs help. He needs fucking killing, Butcher spat. All Might's expression grew sad but firm. Every person deserves a chance at redemption. Even him. Especially him. He smiled that impossible smile. Because that's what heroes do. Then he was gone, moving in a blur of motion that made Homelander's speed look sluggish. Frenchie broke the silence. I think we have just witnessed something impossible. Yeah, said. We did. Kimiko signed rapidly. Huey translated, his voice hollow. She says All Might barely moved. That punch that sent Homelander through buildings. He barely moved. They looked at each other. Butcher, Huey said quietly. What the hell is he? Butcher stared at the hole in the wall, his jaw working. I don't fucking know, but I'll tell you what he's not. He looked at his team. He's not one of them. Homelander pulled himself from the wreckage of the car, his costume torn, his hair disheveled for the first time in his public existence. Blood trickled from his nose. He was bleeding. That wasn't possible. Nothing could make him bleed. All Might landed in front of him, soft as a feather despite his size. Are you injured? All Might asked with genuine concern. Homelander wiped his nose, stared at the blood on his glove. You made me bleed. I'm sorry about that, but you weren't listening, and those people needed protection. All Might extended a hand. Please, let me help you up. Homelander looked at the hand like it was a viper. Then his expression twisted into something ugly and raw. Help me! Help me! I don't need help. I'm Homelander. I'm the most powerful being on the planet. I could burn you to ash. I could rip you apart. I could... But you haven't, All Might said simply. Despite all your threats, all your posturing, you haven't killed me. Do you know why? Because I'm choosing not to. Homelander lurched to his feet, swaying. Because when I do decide to end you, I want the whole world watching. I want everyone to see what happens when someone challenges me. No, All Might said gently. It's because somewhere deep down, you don't want to be a killer. You want to be a hero. Real heroes don't exist in your world because they weren't allowed to. But you could be the first. You could choose. Homelander's laugh was broken glass and madness. Choose. I never got to choose anything. They made me in a lab. They raised me in a white room. They told me I was a god and then made me perform for cameras. There is no choice. There's only power and weakness, and you... He lunged again, but there was no technique now, no control. Just rage and pain and a lifetime of manufactured divinity cracking apart. All Might didn't fight back. He dodged, deflected, moved with an economy of motion that made Homelander's attacks look crude. Every few seconds, he'd tap Homelander again, just enough to reset the confrontation, never enough to truly harm. One for all, 1%. Texas smash. Homelander hit a building, came back swinging. One for all, 1%. California smash. Homelander cratered the street, rose with a roar. One for all, 1%. Detroit smash. Over and over, All Might called out his attacks, each one at the same devastating yet restrained percentage. And somewhere in Homelander's fractured mind, a terrible realization began to take root. 1%. He was only using 1%. "Stop holding back," Homelander screamed. "Fight me at full power. Show me what you really are." "I can't do that," All Might said sadly, "because I'm not here to destroy you. I'm here to save you, if you'll let me." Homelander's next attack was pure desperation. He grabbed a concrete pillar and swung it like a bat. All Might caught it, crushed it to powder with a gentle squeeze. "Please," All Might said. "Stop this. Let me help." "I don't want your help. I don't need anything from you. I'm Homelander. His voice broke. For just a moment, standing in the ruins of a street he'd helped destroy, covered in dust and his own blood, Homelander looked small, lost, human. "I'm Homelander," he whispered. "I have to be. It's all I am." All Might's expression gentled. "No, you could be so much more. You could be what they never allowed you to be. A real hero. Someone who saves people because it's right, not because cameras are watching. Someone who uses their strength to protect the weak, not dominate them. You have the power. All you need is—" "A symbol," Homelander interrupted, and his voice had changed. Gone cold, gone calculating. "That's what you are, isn't it? A symbol of peace." He laughed, and it was the sound of something breaking. "And you think you can just show up and replace me? Take my place?" "I'm not trying to replace anyone," All Might said. "I'm only here temporarily. Once I find a way home." "Home." Homelander's eyes focused with laser intensity. "Right, home. To your world where everyone has powers. Where you're not special." His smile returned, sharp and manic. "But here you're unique. Here you could be worshipped, loved. Why would you ever want to leave?" "Because this isn't my world," All Might said simply. "And these aren't my people to protect. I can help while I'm here, but I have responsibilities elsewhere. Students who need me. A society that—" "Responsibilities." Homelander spat the word. "You sound just like them. Just like Madeline. Just like Stan Edgar. Just like everyone who ever tried to control me." His fist clenched. "But I'm done being controlled. Done being told what to do. And I'm sure as hell done listening to you." He flew straight up, a red and blue streak against the darkening sky. All Might sighed, looking at the destruction around him. "I tried," he said to no one. "I really tried." The breaking point came 48 hours later. Homelander spent those 2 days spiraling. He appeared at Vought Tower looking disheveled, snapping at Ashley, terrifying the support staff. He gave an interview on live television, where his smile kept twitching, where his answers grew increasingly erratic. Social media exploded with speculation. News anchors debated what they were seeing. The invincible Homelander unraveling on camera. All Might, meanwhile, continued helping. He stopped a 5-car pileup on the George Washington Bridge. He rescued an entire apartment building from a fire, carrying people out one by one with infinite patience. He sat with a suicidal teenager on a rooftop for 6 hours, talking quietly until the boy chose to live. He never called press conferences, never sought credit, just smiled and helped and moved on. The contrast was killing Homelander. On the 3rd day, Homelander appeared on the Jumbotron in Times Square. The massive screen showed his face, larger than life, his smile terrible and bright. "Attention, New York." His voice boomed from speakers across the city. "I challenge the mysterious visitor, All Might, isn't it, to a demonstration. Let's show everyone what real power looks like. Meet me at Liberty Island in 1 hour. Come alone." The message repeated. Social media erupted. News networks went into overdrive. The NYPD tried to evacuate the area. Vaught's legal team scrambled. The boys watched from their apartment, dread settling like ice in their stomachs. "He's going to kill him," Huey said quietly. "Or try to, in front of everyone." "Maybe," MM said. Or maybe All Might finally stops playing nice. Butcher said nothing, just stared at the screen with an expression no one could read. All Might stood on Liberty Island as the sun began to set, the Statue of Liberty towering behind him. News helicopters circled at a distance, their cameras trained on the island. The NYPD had established a perimeter on the water, keeping civilian boats away. The boys had commandeered a boat and watched from just outside the exclusion zone, binoculars trained on the island. There, Frenchie pointed, Homelander arrives. Homelander descended like a falling star, landing 50 feet from All Might with enough force to crack the concrete. His costume was immaculate again, his hair perfect, but his eyes were wrong, too bright, too focused. The eyes of someone who'd crossed a line they couldn't uncross. "You came," Homelander said. "I wasn't sure you would. Thought maybe you'd finally realize this is my world and fucked off back to whatever comic book you crawled out of." "I came," All Might said simply, his smile sad but present. "Because you asked. Because you're hurting. Because I still believe you can choose to be better." Homelander laughed, and it echoed across the water. "Better, right. Here's the thing, All Might, if that's even your real name. I've been thinking about our little encounters, about how you keep saying 1%, how you keep calling out your attacks like some kind of anime character." His expression went cold, and I realized something. You're not holding back because you're noble. You're holding back because you're showing off, proving you can beat me with one hand tied behind your back. "No," All Might said firmly. "I'm holding back because I don't want to hurt you more than necessary. Because every person deserves a chance at redemption, yeah, you said." Homelander's heat vision began to glow. "But here's what you don't understand. I don't want redemption. I don't want saving. I want what's mine. This world, these people, this adoration, it's mine, and you're trying to take it. I'm not..." "Shut up." The heat vision fired, not at All Might, but at the Statue of Liberty's torch. The metal began to glow, to melt. "Do you know what that is? That's America's symbol. Lady Liberty, freedom, justice, all that bullshit." He turned his beams toward the statue's face. "But I'm the real symbol, me, the greatest hero who ever lived, and I'm going to prove it by doing what you're too weak to do." All Might moved, a blur of motion, positioning himself between Homelander and the statue. "Stop this. Attacking a monument accomplishes nothing. It gets your attention." Homelander smiled, and it was his old publicity smile, empty and terrifying. "Tell me something, All Might. What happens when I stop attacking you and start attacking them?" He pointed toward Manhattan, toward millions of people going about their lives. "You can't be everywhere at once, you can't save everyone, and I can kill them faster than you can stop me." For the first time, All Might's smile disappeared completely. "You won't do that," he said, but there was something heavy in his voice, something final. "Because despite everything, you're not a killer of innocence. You're angry and hurt and frightened, but you're not..." "Not what?" Homelander floated higher, his cape billowing. "Not a monster, not a murderer? Want to bet on that?" His eyes flicked toward the news helicopters. "Tell you what, I'm going to give you a choice. You can fight me with everything you've got. No more holding back, no more 1% bullshit. Or I start with those helicopters, then the boats. Then I fly to Manhattan and see how many buildings I can collapse before you stop me." All Might stood very still. When he spoke, his voice was quiet. "You're forcing my hand." "No," Homelander said. "I'm calling your bluff. You're not a hero. You're just another soup with a good marketing strategy. And when the chips are down, when people's lives are actually on the line, you'll fold. You'll..." All Might moved. Not a feint, not a deflection. A real attack, blindingly fast, his fist wrapped in golden energy. "One for all, 1%. United States of Smash. The punch caught Homelander in the chest and sent him rocketing into the sky. He tumbled end over end, crashing through a cloud layer, his trajectory carrying him miles upward in seconds. All Might leaped after him, and the force of his launch cracked the entire island. On the boat, Butcher lowered his binoculars slowly. Jesus Christ. Did you see how fast? M.M. couldn't finish the sentence. Kimiko signed rapidly. Huey translated, his voice hollow. She says All Might is holding back even now, that he could have hit harder. They watched the sky where two figures clashed at supersonic speeds, each impact creating sonic booms that rattled windows in Manhattan. Miles above the earth, where the air was thin and cold, Homelander caught himself. Blood trickled from his mouth. His chest ached, actually ached, pain he hadn't felt since childhood experiments. All Might hovered across from him, his hair whipping in the stratospheric winds, his smile still gone. I gave you every chance, All Might said, every opportunity to choose differently. But if you're determined to threaten innocence, then I have no choice. I'll stop you. Still 1%? Homelander spat blood. Even now? Yes. The word hung between them like a judgment. Homelander felt something crack inside his chest. Not ribs, but something deeper. Understanding. Terrible, absolute understanding. 1%. Every punch that had sent him flying, every deflection that had made him look weak, every casual display of overwhelming power, all of it, every single moment, had been 1%, which meant ... What are you? Homelander whispered. All Might's expression softened with genuine sorrow. I'm someone who understands what it means to carry the weight of being a symbol, to have power that could destroy everything you touch, to smile even when you're terrified, because people need to believe someone can save them. He floated closer. I understand you, Homelander, better than you think, and that's why I'm giving you one final chance. Come with me. Let's find a way to help you, to heal what they broke. It's not too late. For a moment, just a moment, something flickered across Homelander's face, something vulnerable and human and desperate. Then it died. No, Homelander said, because even if you could help me, even if there was some way to fix what I am, it wouldn't matter. This world needs me broken. It needs me angry. It needs me to be exactly what Vought made me. His smile returned, manic and final. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to fly down to that city, and I'm going to start killing people. And you're going to have to choose. Chase me, and maybe stop me before I kill thousands, or let me go and live with the guilt. He turned toward Manhattan. All Might spoke, and his voice carried a weight that made the air itself feel heavy. If you make that choice, I will stop you, permanently. Homelander looked back, and for the first time, his smile was genuine. The smile of a man who'd found the edge and decided to jump. Then stop me, symbol of peace. Show me what happens when a real hero decides to kill. He dove toward the city. All Might caught him before he'd fallen 1,000 feet. Not gently, not with restraint. A grip like iron around Homelander's throat, halting his descent with a jerk that would have snapped a normal person's neck. I begged you, All Might said, and his voice was full of grief. I gave you every chance, but I cannot, will not, let you harm innocence, not while I draw breath. Homelander clawed at All Might's hand, his fingers scrabbling uselessly. He fired his heat vision point blank into All Might's face. All Might didn't even blink, just turned his head slightly so the beams passed over his shoulder. I'm sorry, All Might said. I'm so sorry, but you've left me no choice. I can't restrain you. Nothing in this world could hold you. I can't talk you down. You've rejected every attempt, and I can't leave you free to hurt people. His grip tightened slightly. So I'll carry this burden. I'll make this choice, because that's what it means to be the symbol of peace. Homelander's eyes went wide. Real fear, finally. Wait. One for all. Golden energy erupted around All Might's free hand, more intense than anything before. Not the restrained glow of 1%, but something deeper, more primal. The air itself screamed. 5%. Homelander thrashed, suddenly desperate, suddenly understanding that this was real, this was happening, this was the end. United States of Smash! The punch struck Homelander's chest. For a microsecond, nothing happened. Homelander's invulnerable body, enhanced by Compound V, reinforced by years of being unkillable, held. Then physics caught up. The shockwave was visible, a golden sphere of displaced air that expanded from the point of impact like a miniature sun going supernova. Every window in Lower Manhattan shattered, every car alarm triggered. Every bird within 5 miles took flight in primal terror. Homelander's body went rigid, his eyes rolled back. Blood erupted from his mouth, his nose, his ears, his heart. His invulnerable, perfect heart ruptured. All Might released his grip. Homelander fell. He tumbled through the air, no longer flying, just falling, his body limp and broken. All Might caught him before he hit the water, cradling him with infinite gentleness despite what he'd just done. They descended together to Liberty Island. All Might laid Homelander down on the cracked concrete, his hand checking for a pulse he knew wouldn't be there. The body was still warm, still seemed like it might move at any moment, but the terrible light in those blue eyes had gone out forever. "I'm sorry," All Might said again, to the corpse, to the world, to himself. "I tried. God help me, I tried." He stood, his smile returning, but it was different now, smaller, sadder. The smile of a man who'd broken his own principles because the alternative was worse. The news, helicopters circled closer, their cameras capturing everything. The boys approached in their boat, watching in silence. The entire world watched as All Might stood over Homelander's body, the greatest hero of this world, having been killed by a visitor from another. All Might looked up at the cameras and spoke, his voice carrying across the water through sheer force of presence. "I am All Might, the symbol of peace from another world. Today I was forced to end a life, something I hoped never to do. But Homelander gave me no choice. He threatened to slaughter innocents, and I could not allow that." He looked down at the body. He was a victim in his own way, a weapon created by those who valued profit over humanity. But being a victim doesn't excuse becoming a victimizer. Being hurt doesn't justify hurting others. He paused, then continued. "To the people of this world, you deserve real heroes, not corporate mascots, not manufactured symbols. Real people who choose every day to use their power to help others. You deserve better than what you've been given. And I hope, with all my heart, that you find it." The golden energy began to glow around him again, but different this time. Not aggressive, but purposeful. The same energy that had brought him here. "My time here is ending," All Might said. "I can feel the pull of my own world. But before I go, I want you to know, you are not powerless. You are not helpless. Change is possible. A better world is possible. You just have to be brave enough to reach for it." The rift opened behind him, that same impossible tear in reality, swirling with golden light. The boys had reached the island now, standing at a distance, watching. "Oi!" Butcher called out. "All Might." All Might turned, his smile gentling. "What you did," Butcher continued, his voice rough. "Killing that cunt. Don't beat yourself up too much about it, yeah? Some people can't be saved. Some people don't deserve saving. Everyone deserves a chance at redemption," All Might said softly. "Even if they refuse to take it, even if they force your hand." He looked at each of them in turn. "Keep fighting. Not with hate, but with hope. That's the only way real change happens. Huey stepped forward. Will you remember us when you go back? Always, All Might said. And I'll remember what I learned here. That heroism means nothing without accountability. That power without responsibility creates monsters. That being a symbol isn't enough if the system itself is broken. His smile strengthened. Thank you for teaching me that. Kimiko signed something. All Might somehow understood without translation and nodded to her. You're right, he said. You are strong. All of you. Stronger than you know. The rift was expanding now, pulling at him. All Might took one last look at Homelander's body, at the Statue of Liberty, at the city skyline glittering in the distance. Be the heroes you want to see, he said. Even if no one's watching, especially if no one's watching. Then he stepped backward into the light. The rift closed with a sound like a sigh, and All Might was gone. In the days that followed, the world convulsed. Vort's stock plummeted. The Seven fractured. Some members disappeared. Others spoke publicly about the abuse they'd endured. Ashley Barrett resigned on live television. Her breakdown watchable on YouTube within minutes. Stan Edgar made a carefully worded statement about unfortunate incidents and new directions that fooled no one. The FBSA opened investigations. Congress held hearings. Compound V became a household term, a scarlet letter on America's conscience. But more importantly, something else happened. People started helping each other. Small things at first. A man stopped a mugging without waiting for heroes to arrive. A woman organized her apartment building to protect each other. Neighborhood watches formed, not to be vigilantes, but to be present, to be community. The Seven's approval ratings cratered, but individual acts of heroism, real heroism, the kind without cameras or credit, increased. In their apartment, the boys watched the news, processing everything. He did it, Huey said quietly. He actually changed things. Not him, Butcher corrected, though his voice lacked its usual edge. He just showed people what was possible. They're doing the rest themselves. MM nodded slowly. A symbol of peace. That's what he called himself. Think it worked? Frenchie asked. They all looked at the screen, where ordinary people were being interviewed about standing up to soups, about demanding accountability, about remembering what a real hero looked like. Yeah, Butcher said finally. I think maybe it did. Kimiko signed something, and Huey translated. She says she hopes he made it home safe. They all agreed with that. Wherever All Might was, whatever world he'd returned to, they hoped he was smiling his real smile, not the symbol's smile, but the genuine one underneath. The one that said despite everything, despite the hard choices and the necessary evils, being a hero was worth it. Because someone had to be. Because the world needed people who would try. Because symbols matter, but only if they inspire others to become symbols too. The boys sat in their apartment as the sun set over New York City, and for the first time in years, the darkness didn't feel quite so absolute. Somewhere out there, real change was beginning, and it had all started with a smile.